We keep being told we've got a free press in Britain. 6 billionaires own more than 80% of the newspapers. The BBC still collects a tax to exist, and Ofcom decides what's acceptable speech. That's not a free press, that's a cartel with better branding. And here's the truth. People are done with it. They're switching off the telly, they're ignoring the headlines, and they're turning to people like me, independent creators, because we don't owe anyone anything. No shareholders, no government briefings, just facts, logic, and a camera. And today we're breaking down who really controls the UK media, how it shapes what you think, and why millions now trust a bloke in his office, working class, educated, unfiltered, a whole lot more than they trust a BBC newsroom.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So let's start with who owns what. Rupert Murdoch's News UK runs The Sun, The Times and Talk TV. The Daily Mail Group owns The Mail, The Eye and Metro. Reach plc controls The Mirror, The Express, The Star and half the regional press. The Telegraph Group, run by the Barclays and now sold to UAE-backed Redbird IMI, gives foreign investment a say in British opinion. Add Sky, owned by Comcast, and ITN, part owned by ITV, Channel 4 and Reuters. That's it. A handful of conglomerates own virtually everything you read, watch and hear. And the independent broadcasters, most dance to the same tune, the tune written by advertisers, lobbyists and government departments, all of them regulated by Ofcom and need to conform to British broadcasting rules. You see, they're not competing for truth, they're competing for access, and that's the problem. It's not just who owns the media anymore, it's who controls what you see. Google, Meta and YouTube use their trustworthy sources algorithm to boost establishment outlets like the BBC, Guardian and Sky, and they bury independence at the same time. Type migration or net zero into Google and you'll see pages of the same recycled narrative before you ever find independent research. And here's the kicker. The Online Safety Act now gives Ofcom oversight of harmful misinformation. Translation, if your opinion threatens the establishment narrative, it's not free speech anymore, it's harmful or misinformation. That's why people are switching to alternative media, because when every algorithm works like a political filter, the only way to get real news is from people who aren't in the system. Have you ever noticed how every outlet suddenly agrees on the same headline, literally overnight? That's not coincidence, that's agenda setting. The BBC gets the line from Downing Street or a government source, the others follow to stay relevant. Next morning, every paper and every breakfast show is pushing the same talking point. Immigration surges, energy transitions, digital ID security, so on and so on. They don't debate reality, they debate how to frame it. That's how the establishment manipulates perception, control the framing, and you control the argument. Meanwhile, the public's left thinking, hang on, where's the other side of this? And that's where creators like me step in, because we actually ask the questions they won't. Take my recent video on the machinery of government digital ID switch to the Cabinet Office. Not one single media outlet covered it. Why? Did you see that video? I published it on every social media platform. It's out there, but you're not being fed it until the government mandate it. And when it's too late, the media will jump all over it. It's news after the fact. But everything isn't always rosy in the independent content creator scene. You see, I've been doing this for almost 4 years. And in my time, I've seen a lot of people jump on the bandwagon. And believe me, it is a bandwagon. Because a lot of people out there are earning money for clicks. They're putting out headlines that come directly from the mainstream media and selling them to you as hysteria. That's right. There are actually very few people doing similar things to what I do, breaking down government bills, looking at the information that's not being published, or the stories that are put on page 6, 7 and 8, not the headlines on page 1, 2 and 3. That's what they're pushing for clicks and likes. What me and many others are pushing is the actual facts. So you need to start paying attention to who you're listening to.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
If you're starting to feel like you want to understand a little bit more about the political system, I actually have a book out. It's called Politics for People Who Don't Give a Toss About Politics. It's available on Amazon in a hardback, paperback and Kindle version. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how the system really works, why don't you grab yourself a copy? The link will be in the description. Anyway, let's carry on. You see, the BBC call itself impartial, but it's actually funded by a compulsory licence fee run by government-appointed boards and filled with former political staffers. Impartial? Not a chance. They'll spend hours talking about misinformation on social media, but never admit how their own editorial line shapes national opinion. Their budget's nearly $4 billion a year, yet independent creators like me with a fraction of that reach more people online because people actually trust us. Viewers have had enough of being patronised by Oxbridge suits pretending to represent the people. They don't. They represent the agenda. And mark my words, Klaus Schwab, Tony Blair and the WEF aren't filling my postbox with little brown envelopes. The latest Edelman Trust Barometer says just 29% of Britons trust the media. Over 60% believe the media hides or distorts facts to suit political interests. That's not an accident. That's the result of decades of spin, propaganda and elitist contempt. So when you see independent journalists, YouTubers and researchers gaining millions of followers, it's not a fad, it's a backlash and the future. You see, people don't want spin, they want data, evidence and honesty. Even if it's uncomfortable, you might not like what I always say, but the truth is, it's the truth. So let's talk about what's coming next. Ofcom now has the power to police speech online under the Online Safety Act. Throw in the Data Use and Access Act, lets the state access and share your digital footprint, and the public authorities, Fraud, Error and Recovery Bill, can let them claw back money directly from citizens. No court, no conviction. And all of this under the banner of safety, security or efficiency. It's not about keeping you safe, it's about keeping you compliant. And that same mindset runs through the media. They call it moderation. We call it control. This is why people are turning to independent voices. Because they smell the lies, they can see the coordination, and they want something real, not curated by a boardroom or filtered through an algorithm. People like me and thousands of others are filling the gap the establishment created. We research, verify, and explain what's actually going on without needing permission from anybody. No corporate backers, no government grants, no party line, just facts, logic, and honesty. And that's why they're trying to shut it down, because the more people wake up, the less control they have. It's simple. End the BBC licence fee, make it voluntary, then see who actually follows them. Break up media monopolies, protect free speech online, not regulated speech, and support independent journalism with transparency and accountability, not censorship. Because a genuinely free press doesn't need a regulator. It needs truth seekers and truth speakers. You see, we're living through a media collapse, not because technology changed, but because truth became inconvenient for the narrative. The establishment spent decades building empires of spin, but the internet gave people a way to fight back. Now they're desperate to close that door through censorship, disinformation units, and digital ID systems dressed up as safety. And they have their online players as well. But this is the reality. They can't stop reality. People will always seek truth. And that's why independent media isn't just a movement, it's a revolution. So if you're tired of being lied to, share this video, subscribe, and help rebuild honest journalism from the ground up. Because the more they try to silence us, the louder we're going to get.